Hey guys, just making another build video based around the Celestial Engineer. A lot of you enjoyed my last video, so I thought I'd make another one. This is another effective build that you can run with the Engineer. It's pretty much a might stacking build based around the Flamethrower. Now, not a lot of people like using the Flamethrower, but personally I think it's actually a really fun, good weapon for PvE and does actually have its uses in PvP. The big advantage of this build is it's got quite a bit of support and you've got quite a bit of toughness. So let me go through and show you why it's so good, or why I think it's so good anyway. So first of all, again, Celestial gear, full Celestial gear, apart from the one which gives us extra precision just to keep our crit chance up a little bit. Good thing about crit chance with the Flamethrower is that you're doing it in bursts of 10, so therefore you actually get your on crits up really high. Now what we've got here is we've got the runes of strength on our Celestial gear. Now that's because the increased power, but the 5% damage while under the effect of might is really good because you'll be sitting in Flamethrower most of the time when you're running around, so you should always have at least one stack of might, which means that you get a 5% flat damage increase. Also, the might duration is really handy, and gain might when you get hit is also very handy. So again, you're just going to be constantly stacking might. On my weapons, I start off with the rifle just for stacking bloodlust. Rifle's a really good weapon because it's also power based, so you can get a little bit of burst damage off. But I also run shield with AoE torment on. Just the extra proc on torment is pretty nice, and then also pistol with superior sigil of strength, 30% on chance on critical to gain might for 10 seconds. Well, obviously it's a might stacking build, so with the increased boon duration of 20% and the 20% might, actually works out that you get about 14 seconds of might from your on crit, which is quite nice. So again, more might stacking, which increases your power dramatically. So we'll go into our traits. Traits for this are exploit weakness, which is below the 50% you put a cripple on. It's a little bit lackluster in this tier actually, in this adept tier for explosives, because you can't get a lot. But I feel that cripple's really handy because you're going to be in close with a Flamethrower. Stopping people running away is going to be very, very helpful. Also, in this one we go for enhanced performance. Now a lot of people will tell you to go for incendiary power for the increased crit chart, the increased burn damage, which increases your Flamethrower damage, but you're not actually going to be doing your burst, your main flame jet a lot, so it's actually not worth going for the enhanced performance, which is 3 stacks of might for 18 seconds when you use a heal skill. Then we go into here with precise sight, increased damage, increased vulnerability, always handy, just a little bit of extra damage, and because it's a chance on critical as well, and you're doing 10 pulses, it pretty much means that you can have 100% uptime on vulnerability, and it's quite a good way of stacking it. Also, Juggernaut, if you're going to be running the Flamethrower, is just fantastic. The 200 toughness gives you a little bit more survivability, and also the stacking might means that you're going to be sitting about 6-7 stacks of might the whole time, which is quite handy, especially if it's a might stacking build. And then modified ammunition. Now it increases the damage for each condition on a foe by 2%. Now this is actually quite good because the on procs that we have, so at 50% we're going to be doing cripple, we're going to keep vulnerability up, we're going to be put bleeding on our target, and we get a 5% increased damage against bleeding foes anyway. But because of the way the Flamethrower works, it actually means that we get quite a few conditions just on there in general. Now that also means that we are going to be doing generally more damage against them. So it works out with cripple, bleed and vulnerability, you've just got yourself a free extra 6% damage, which is quite a lot of damage. Now also with finally in the alchemy tree we're going to be going for fast acting elixirs for a 20% reduction, because this actually runs with 2 elixirs, and we're going to be going for the 15% increased Flamethrower damage and elixir gun. Obviously, you need it to make the flamethrower actually viable. 15% damage increase is too high not to take. So if we look at our traits, look at our skills even, sorry, and go through what we're actually going to be looking at here. I've gone for Flamethrower, Elixir H, Elixir B, and Elixir Gun. Now these all work really well together. You pop Elixir B for the extra crit chance, which now puts you on 63% crit. You then go with Elixir H because with the reduced recharge on elixirs, you actually got quite a short cooldown on your heal, and it's just spammable. Also, it gives you regen for 12 seconds and protection for 6. The advantage of that is that even if you use your elixir sort of offensively as such, because it's a really good way of stacking might, it doesn't kill you. With a lot of the other skills like healing turret and medkit, you're going to be constantly switching in and out. Some people say medkit's really good, but I find that actually it makes it a little bit difficult to keep your might stacks up due to the fact you're going to be switching out of flamethrower. So also the tool belt skills are pretty good, you know, AoE protection for people and actually some form of reliable stability. Well, that added with a fury or a might or retaliation actually gives you a lot of survivability. Elixir gun, self-explanatory, it gives you a pretty decent heal, not the best in the world, blast finisher, and some more conditions to put on your enemy, which gives you a little bit more damage in flamethrower. And also the big reason you take elixir gun, healing mist, is a stun breaker. So that suddenly means that you've got quite a bit of toughness, a stun breaker, and stability. Again, we're just going to be going for supply crate because it's really handy, gives you that nice bit of healing and overall sort of stun and lockdown, so you can keep your enemies where you want them. The trick with this build is to make sure that you keep up your might stacks and get them as high as possible. Now, the best food to get is toxic maintenance oil and Marjorie's experimental chili. Now the reason is, again, more might stacking. Your heal now gives you a lot of might, and also the plus 100 precision puts you up to nearly 50% crit chance. When you combine everything together with the fury of the elixir, we're up to 68%, and then this trait here at 50%, you're now on around 80% crit, which is a nice amount of damage. Add to that, you've got a 30% chance on critical to gain might. You're going to be stacking might very quickly, and stacking might again in this build is very handy. The reason I go for AoE Torment as well is because you don't have a large amount of condition damage as base, but might increases condition damage, which makes Torment quite useful for keeping people who are trying to outrun you from outrunning you. Really, they can keep running away from you, but they'll be taking more progressive damage. Now, just to point out how much might you can get from a heal, we're now on seven stacks of might. It's ticking over from 6 back up to 7, but if I press my heal, suddenly I'm up to 13-14 stacks of might, and that lasts quite a long time. Add that with the fury stacks, and we're now up to 14 stacks of might, no problem, nothing really going on, and we actually keep our might stacks very high. You can also put down your flame wall, and you can blast finisher it with the elixir gun and your supply crate. So that's again more might. Now 16 stacks of might doesn't seem huge, but you don't want to go too high, because if you're in World v World, which is where I actually run this build, you get a lot of might stacks from other people, so you don't want to be concentrating too much on getting your might stacks at 25 on your own. If you're running solo, I'd recommend finding a way to you know, practicing your blast finishes, maybe switching out Elixir B for something else. But I personally would just stick with the 14 to 15 stacks of might quite happily. And then with that in mind, when you are running the pistol, which I will equip now, pistol and shield combo, you have quite a lot of armor. It's not huge, but it's a good amount for a relatively good roaming build. It'll mean you'll stay alive a little bit longer. With the support that you can play, it actually means that you can do quite a bit of damage. Now, as I said, this build works very well in PvP, but you can't run Celestial in PvP, unfortunately. But you can run Zerka's gear, and for the same reason, if you run the Zerka's amulet, the toughness from the Flamethrower actually means that you've got quite a bit of free toughness. The vitality on it makes it quite good, and also the control you have is phenomenal. You've got stun breakers, heals, blinds, and probably the best knockback in the game, I think. Combine that with a shield, you got 2 knockbacks and a stun, another stun for yourself on a supply crate, stun breakers, stability, protection, burning. It works really well. Another option is to try with rampages, but I think Berserker works better because of the way crit works with a Flamethrower. 55% critical damage gives you a nice little bit of burst damage. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I will add some footage after I finish speaking, and hopefully I will see you guys later. Bye bye.